everyone, and welcome to another episode of Out of the Fog. I'm your host, Laura Beltonba, and do we have a fun-packed episode for you today? I get the chance to chat with Krista Hines, who is one of the co-hosts for the upcoming Fierce Leadership Summit, and then we get to sit back and relax and get into some nitty-gritty with some stories from the one and only Jen Windsor with Ship Moms. So sit back, relax, and we'll get right to it.
Your opinion matters, and we want to hear from you. Get in touch with us using our viewer feedback line, your direct connection to shaping the shows you love. It's easy. Just grab your phone, scan the QR code on your screen, and take our quick survey. Share your thoughts, and let's make your viewing experience even better.
This is Rogers TV. You're watching Rogers TV St. John's.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm now joined by the one and only Krista Hines, who is one of the co-founders and co-hosts for the upcoming Fierce Leadership Summit. Krista, thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for the invite.
So I'm so glad to have you here because my social media has been filled with fierce, 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 fierce.
Good.
And so I was like, now everyone needs to know what fierce is.
Yes.
So can we start with what is the Fierce Leadership Summit and how did it come to be?
Absolutely. So, as you said, I'm co-hosting it with the amazing Stephanie Howlett for Diversity NL. And Stephanie came to me after I had done a series of female empowerment events across the province, and we wanted to create something that was a little bit more leadership focused, a little bit more community activism focused and action focused. So we talked about what that might look like and what that might be called, and that kind of, to me, a very strong Newfoundland vernacular word, fierce. We use it to explain our moms and our grandmothers and all those strong women that came before us. So it was born out of that idea that we wanted to create a safe space for women and gender diverse folks within the province who find themselves in the leadership space or feel that they have something to give within the leadership space, but maybe don't see themselves reflected in the current leadership structure within their organization or within an association or within the industry where they feel they can make an impact. So we wanted to bring together this dream team of presenters and who we felt represented what leadership in Newfoundland and Labrador could and should look like, and bring those together for a day and open that up then so that women and gender diverse folks can be inspired because they can see themselves in those positions and they can have the conversations that maybe in their traditional spaces they feel like they can't comfortably have for one reason or another. Yeah.
So you and I were talking before we started filming about why you felt it was really pivotal to do that now, especially with things.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind sharing with our audience, why do you think now was the right time for Fierce to be born?
Well, I've always had a very entrepreneurial mindset, and I always have about 20 million projects on the go at one time, to the dismay of my family. But, I've had tons of ideas over the time, and this idea was actually born probably about 5 years ago in my head. But somebody once told me, it doesn't mean it's a bad idea, it might just be the wrong time. And when the right idea hits the right time, then magic happens, and that's exactly what it was. I mean, part of the timing of this being the right time is there is a bit of a feeling, whether it's locally in our province or in our nation or across the border, that things are going a little bit backwards when it comes to rights and when it comes to equity. There's also a really good and strong and necessary conversation happening right now about the difference between equality and equity. And I think there has been a lot of emphasis put on ticking boxes when it comes to diversity and inclusion. And, there's only so much a gal can take before she stands up and says, okay, we need to give a space to these voices so that we can rise them and elevate them. And I think now is because there is a movement. I mean, all of these themes already exist within the community. There is, so much literature out now, so much investigation happening and surveys being put out there about the impact of true inclusion and equity within workplace and the benefits to economics. There are issues that we're trying to resolve, be it homelessness, be it how to integrate best new Canadians so that everybody can prosper, and involve them within the community and building the community. And there are all of these questions that seem to have endless more questions, when in reality, I think the answers exist within the voices of the women and gender diverse folk that are maybe silenced right now for one reason or another. So there's genuinely a feeling that if not now, then when? Because honestly, it's a conversation that should have started here and been here by now, but here we are, and it's still not there. There's still a wage gap. There's still, less females and women identifying folks in C-suites and on boards. And when you go into the equity diversion margins, that number gets even more stark. So it's kind of like we're in 2025, almost 2026. So it's kind of a necessity at this point, I feel. And I think it was just that. It was just like, okay, we got to stop talking about this and actually try to create a space where this can come into reality.
Okay, so for the day that will be so fierce, what can people expect if they're attending? What does the day look like for folks?
So we got a full day. We have an absolutely amazing agenda. I was saying to you before, I was like, part of me is like completely baffled that we were actually able to bring together the dream team. There's a few people that due to other commitments, we couldn't have represented there, but we are really, really happy with the folks who answered the call, yourself included. Thank you. So we have a good mix of like keynote style talks, workshop style, and we have a panel in there as well. So we have, a representation from the disability community with Empower NL and Kathy. We have Tara McDonald. She's going to be talking about, some of the Indigenous roots and the community that we really need to include in the conversation in regards to leadership and community building. Yourself. My sister, Danielle, is going to be talking about authenticity. She's been on a really long, winding authenticity journey, and she's going to be kind of weaving that. A lot of people will know Danielle through her musical connections. So she's going to be weaving that in and out with storytelling through music, which is an amazing part of our Newfoundland culture, as well as so many others within Atlantic Canada and beyond. Our panel, I'm really excited about this. Anne-Marie Boudreau from the Board of Trade is going to be our moderator on the panel, which I was super excited that she answered the call because she's such an important part of the business community in Newfoundland and Labrador, and she's an amazing moderator. So we've got a great cross-section of people represented within that, and they're going to be talking about, none of the flashy parts of leadership, but the messy, some of the gaps we're currently seeing in leadership, and actually talking about not just the complaints, but let's also look at how can we make small, pivotal movements. And that's about the whole day. No matter the speaker, no matter the workshop or the session, we are talking about, yes, let's inspire, let's light that fire in our belly, but let's also look at like some of these small incremental movements that we can go back, because that's great. You have a nice, strong confidence voice. You find yourself in this safe space. But when you go back to the workplace and maybe you have to put your mask back on or you have to navigate those microaggressions that you're experiencing, that confidence can falter and you can lose your voice. So what are some of these small, impactful nuggets that people can get? And I'm really excited. I think we've got a lineup that can really instill that feeling into people so they can carry that back into their everyday life.
And so for the folks watching, who is this conference for? Who should be like, let me Google her to get my ticket?
Absolutely. So the conference is specifically for women and gender diverse folks, so people who identify as female or gender diverse. We did that because we really wanted to create a space where everybody could look around and see themselves in each other and feel that sense of togetherness and sense of equality in, at least at the base level. Of course, we're all going to come from different backgrounds, different cultural backgrounds, but at the core, we are all female identifying, and we have that to root us together and share some of those common, frustrations or gaps that we're currently seeing in the leadership space. So first and foremost, female identifying and gender diverse. And then outside of that, we really want to get the message across that it is not just for leaders today. So if you identify as a leader today, absolutely, please, you belong in this space. But if you feel you have something to give within the leadership space in our province, but maybe you don't feel like you have the leadership qualities, quote unquote, that you see in a traditional space, then this is 100% for you. Because what we're hoping is that the springboard from this will be a community of like-minded and like-hearted individuals that can then go forward and foster the next generation of leaders. Because that amazing idea that shifts in a positive direction some of the issues we're facing as a province might be someone who isn't in a leadership role yet and maybe doesn't feel like they can step into that role. And that's what Ferris is for on November 6th. Tickets are on Eventbrite, and you can also find them on our Facebook and our LinkedIn pages. And that's the people who should go ahead and buy a ticket because they really need to have that confidence boost that they're gonna get on that day.
So you saw my next question. So thank you for taking.
Sorry.
Oh no, thank you for taking that off my plate.
Okay.
But like with 1 minute left, I wanted to give you the space to kind of talk to all the women and gender diverse people who are on the edge. Who are like, okay, this is interesting, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So what would you like them to know about why this is their chance to step into this space to maybe begin their leadership journey or to be re-engaged, to be revitalized? What would you like them to know?
Well, I think that it's really important for those folks to understand that their voice matters. And too often in this world, voices are silenced, all too often. And yes, we stand on the shoulders of the women who came before us and fought for the liberties and rights that we have today, but we're not done. And it can be really, really frustrating to look around and say we're still here, but we have to do that in a space where we recognize we have come a long way, but we're just not done. Because as women and gender diverse folks, we didn't have the inherent rights and privileges that our male colleagues had. And yes, there's conversations with our male allies that have to happen, but it starts with us. So raise your voice, you do matter, take up space, and your first space should be fierce.
Okay, and then one quick question before I let you go. Is there any age limit?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so
absolutely not.
Everyone welcome.
Absolutely.
Well, Krista, it's been an absolute pleasure. I know I'll be hanging out with you at the conference anyway, so
I'm so
hopefully
excited.
We'll see a couple more of our guests
Absolutely,
and audience.
please. Yeah. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much for joining me. And we'll be right back, folks.
At Rogers TV, we know our community thrives because of the incredible people who support it. Today, we want to extend a heartfelt thank you to all our amazing volunteers. Your hard work, dedication, and passion make our productions possible, bringing local stories and events to life for everyone to enjoy. Whether you're behind the camera, in the control room, or helping at events, your contributions are invaluable.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm now joined by the wonderful Jen Windsor, who is the author of this fancy book I'm holding here called Ship Moms. Jen, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm such a fan of you. I'm so happy to be here.
So excited to have you here because I've loved you for a long time. So this is just, it's finally time to gab.
Love it.
Okay, so you are now officially a published author.
It feels weird even calling myself that.
But
I don't
you are.
know if it ever feels normal.
I don't know. I've never written any books. So you'll have to tell me in a few years now. We'll re-chat later and you'll tell me if like the author hat sits a little bit better.
Maybe.
So
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
book,
Yeah.
how did this come to be for you?
Well, this book, in a nutshell, it's a collection of stories from women who got pregnant while working on cruise ships. And I wrote that because I am one of those women.
Okay.
And when I first became a mom, I was feeling a little lonely and a little detached, and I was looking for other moms that I could relate to. And I had joined this Facebook group that was called Royal Moms, and it was women who worked with Royal Caribbean specifically and got pregnant while working on board. And in this Facebook group, there was thousands of women. And they were posting pictures of their sweet little mixed nationality babies and saying things like, I'm from Italy and the father's from Australia and we conceived in the Caribbean and now we live in Jamaica, you know?
Okay.
And so it was just so interesting to me, really got my wheels turning about all the stories that must be out there from all the cruise lines all over the world. And, Ship Moms was formed. I put out a survey online and people started submitting stories, and the rest was history.
Okay, so I'm gonna pause for a second because like the idea of working on a ship, we know like people work on ships, romances start, whether
Yes.
it's with this, like whatever, regardless of who you find, there is a romance on a ship. And this fact that you were not the first mom to be a mom because of working on a cruise line
Yeah.
is so cool because I had a conversation with someone years ago who's like, oh yeah, we went on vacation, I was working, met someone, and now we have a family. And I was like, wait, is this a thing that like occurs?
Yes.
And it sounds like there is an entire world below deck that we do not know of.
Very much a thing that this
Okay.
happens. Cruise ships, the work culture is very interesting. It's not for everybody, but for those who can thrive in that environment, they typically love it. Most times it's young folks who are, looking to see the world and enjoy travel and enjoy meeting people. So, and you're also, you live and work on board.
Yeah.
So the relationships are really intense really quickly, both friendships and romantic relationships, because you're literally stuck together all the time. So it can be, very intense, and obviously romantic relationships form, quite often. A lot of times it's just for fun, but then, sometimes it blossoms into real love, and the reality is these people, practically, need to move heaven and earth to be together, immigrating into different countries and visas and paperwork and all the things that it takes for these couples to actually be together. Okay. I will say I am the exception to the rule, though, however. Of the about 100 women that, responded to my survey, the majority of women never see the fathers ever again. And these sweet little babies never see their fathers ever again. Wow. I am very lucky to be the exception to that rule because the father of my son moved here from Brazil and dropped his entire life to move here to Newfoundland, Canada.
I think that just speaks to how amazing of an individual you are.
Well,
but
thank
we'll
you.
leave that one on the side for later. So what first drew you to ship life? I know you talked about like for a lot of people, they want to travel and they want to do that, but what is it like living and working aboard a cruise ship?
Yeah. Well, to be honest, and as anybody who's read the book will know, I was escaping life.
Okay.
I was going through a divorce and I had kind of hit like a plateau in the job I was in. And I just wanted to do something completely different. I wanted to travel and just do something crazy and different. And frankly, I wanted to get as far away from Newfoundland as possible at the time. Okay. So a friend of mine worked on cruise ships. She gave me the kind of, the down low of what to expect. And and then I just went on, and I after the first 2 weeks were super rough. Okay. But after that, I fell in love with it. I probably would have stayed on there a lot longer if I didn't get pregnant.
Okay. So super rough, seasick, or super rough, just that being away from home, different time zones, on the ocean, what was it?
It's very intense work life. Like I said, you're working 7 months on without a day off.
Okay.
And most people are working like 12-hour days.
Oh, wow.
And in my position as well, I had to be like this
all day
long, every day, which is something that I don't mind, but it's pretty exhausting. Yeah. Plus, I think just getting on board in the first place, and it was a very different experience for me growing up in Newfoundland. There's not many people of color. There's, especially in the 80s when I grew up here. So then to get on board and to be like an English-speaking white woman, to be the minority on board was so eye-opening and fantastic. And just getting to know people from all over the world, and all the different cultures and, viewpoints. And it was just so cool and interesting to me. Now it's to the point that I can almost travel anywhere in the world. Okay. And there's a crew member there that I can say, hey, I'm coming to Ireland.
Oh my God.
Can you hook someone up to show me around? And I've done that now a few times. And it's just so cool to know people from every corner of the world, and to get to know them and their cultures.
Okay, so now we're going to get back to Ship Moms.
Yeah.
So as you were writing this book, which is your story, other stories from people who filled out your survey,
Yeah.
what did it feel like to get these experiences out on paper?
It felt really therapeutic, honestly. It started as something, I was just going to tell my story, very, almost like a filtered version of it was the initial intent.
Okay.
Anybody who reads it or will read it will soon know that that is not what happened. Throughout the writing process, it really did snowball into me revealing a lot more things about myself than I had initially anticipated. A lot of things aren't pretty or flattering, but there's something really humbling about reading your own work and realizing that your protagonist is a hot mess. And then you're like, well, that's me. So it really was eye-opening to be like, I got to make some changes here. I really got to, now that I'm reading myself on the page and I see these things, it made me grow and accept some things about myself that I was probably pushing away and pretending weren't a problem when they really were. But it was an amazing experience. Even the women's stories themselves, so there's 9 including mine, all of them taught me something too, about myself and about being a mother and just a human moving throughout the world. So it was honestly a life-altering experience, honestly.
So for those who haven't read it yet, who now obviously are going to because now they want the tea because we all like drama.
Love it.
What do you think, or what would you hope they take away after reading this book?
I hope that readers will take away that at the end of the day, we are all, no matter where you're from, what your culture is, your background is, your religion, your beliefs, whatever it is, we all just want to love and be loved. It's, it's so simple, really, all these women, all their different experiences and backgrounds and where they came from. I just found at the end of the day, we all had more in common than what we had in differences, right? But I hope people just take away maybe a laugh, maybe a couple of tears, depending. But, I just hope that people enjoy it. Yeah.
Okay, so now where do we find this wonderful book that we're all going to be hooked to and then be messaging you later about?
Love it. So you can get it at any bookstore, of course, Kohl's and Chapters. Of course, the place that I would love if people would get it from is from my wonderful publisher, which is Breakwater Books. They just opened a new location on Duckworth Street.
Rebecca Rose?
Rebecca Rose,
One and only.
Angel, I'm so thankful that they chose this book. And then, of course, for any folks out there that, don't have any cash flow right now, Newfoundland Labrador Public Libraries, one of my favorite places in the whole wide world.
Okay.
Yep, you can go get your copy of Ship Moms and loan it from the public library.
I love a good public service supporting situation, so that's
Me
fantastic.
too. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so now I'm going to ask the question that probably every author dreads hearing. When's the next book?
I would love to do a Ship Moms too.
Okay.
I really would. Of course, that depends on how things go, but I would love to do a Ship Moms too. I also kind of dream about moving into other similar like career fields. Like I hear that airline crew have a very similar situation, right?
So we want to see the travel industry's love and romance situation.
Exactly.
I'm on board with this.
Yes.
Literally, I will get my ticket for whichever vehicle of transportation that you will be writing about.
Love it. Love it.
Thank you so much for joining me. I know I'm going to be hooked onto this for the I read to disassociate from reality, so we're going to be sitting here and falling in love with all the characters and learning their stories. I want to thank you for being so open and like I know you said you started off wanting to be like the soft and fluffy version, but thank you for going in depth and being open and honest with the readers.
Thank you so much. I hope everybody likes it. I hope you like it.
I love it. Let's be very real. It's tea. I'm here for all the tea, so I really appreciate it. And so, Breakwater Books.
Breakwater Books, yeah.
Public Library.
Yep.
or shipmoms.com.
Yeah, there is one event too
Okay.
that there's an event at the Rooms with another local author, Debbie McGee, where it's
Okay.
like a meet the author thing.
When is that?
It is in mid-November,
Okay.
and it's free tickets, but anyone can get their ticket at the Rooms website.
Okay. So we'll catch you then.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We'll be right back, everyone.
This is Rogers TV. You're watching Rogers TV St. John's.
Thank you to all of you for tuning in yet again. It's always awesome to share time with you. And thank you to my guests so much for joining me. If you want to find out more about the Fierce Leadership Summit, make sure to check out Fierce Leadership Summit on social media. And if you want to get your hands on the one and only Ship Moms, make sure to check out Breakwater Books or shipmoms.com. And I'll see you all again next time.